Thanks, Chris. April is freaking upon us. What are the crowdfunding campaigns you need to know about April? A couple big ones. Big games, literally speaking, but also a few that are going to make some waves. And, you know, again, I love speculating on this side of things because what always achieves what it's going to and what doesn't achieve and what comes out of the woodwork is just so incredibly fun to watch and talk about. And that's why I love doing these videos, because I'm inevitably wrong. Like one of my games from last month, Galactic Renaissance, I mean, that's struggling to get, you know, just over $100,000 in over a week. And that's crazy for me, like, right? Like Space, Innis, you know, better than Innis, you know, and just doesn't do it from a crowd. It's just always intriguing. Like, and then Battletech has got like $4.5 million at the time of me, you know, filming this. Money, can't predict where it's going to go. Vote with your wallet. Now, let me tell you where you potentially are going to be voting with your wallet this month. Let's do this. So first up, it's the granddaddy of this month. I mean, you're getting a Frosthaven reprint. If you haven't played Frosthaven, too much, or you missed out the first time, I mean, the real question is going to be, are you going to pick it up? Are you going to bundle? How much is Isaac going to raise the prices from the first crowdfunding campaign? People are like, oh, this is way too expensive. I'm like, you know what? Remember the first Gloomhaven campaign? Yeah, I backed the first Gloomhaven campaign. I paid $60 for the first Gloomhaven. That first pledge for the Frosthaven now looks like a really freaking sweet deal, doesn't it? Now, this is going to be RPG as well as miniatures. Miniatures, RPG, reprint. If it was on Kickstarter, it had the chance to be the most highest funding Kickstarter ever. But it's over on BackerKit. I'm sorry. BackerKit has failed to impress on any level so far with any project. This daily unlock that they've sort of gone with has been horribly unappetizing. It's led to not a whole lot of incentive to back a whole lot of stuff. And frankly speaking, from a consumer standpoint, it's been completely underwhelming. It has. It has. I'm looking at you, Spirit Island Nature Incarnate. It's true. Those sorts of games are just, you know, it's really apparently pretty good from a production or a business side of things, I guess I should say. But I have not seen the consumer potential incentive yet at all. And so, yeah, I mean, this is going to raise a ton of money. It's going to raise a ton of money no matter what platform it is, but they're going to take a little bit less of a cut, apparently. I mean, I guess that's really the reason people are going over to BackerKit. But from a consumer standpoint, I don't know. You can tell me how wrong I am in the comment section. You can tell me how much you think Frosthaven's going to go for this time around, how much of a markup it's actually going to have. And, you know, I would anticipate no new gameplay, though, as well. I don't. So take that for what you will. But that's clear in a way, number one. It is. I mean, no questions asked. This just in, breaking news in the middle of this video filming. That's because the other big daddy, not named Frosthaven, is also finally announced. We have Simon's with Zombicide White Death coming as well on April 5th. Now, again, the question is going to be White Death. They've got a lot of snow, Game of Thrones-esque vibe in the north style going on. There's been 2 designer diaries over on the Simon website, and the question is just going to be, what new mechanics is it actually going to bring to you? The other thing I like noticing, and I've noticed this with the last 2, they are bucking the trend of the usual Tuesdays. If you weren't aware of that, Zombicide is going to be launching on a Wednesday. Simon now, you know, they were one of the first ones to epitomize, to strategize Tuesday afternoons, right? Tuesday, middle of the day Kickstarter. The whole crowdfunding analytics behind why you're doing Tuesdays. Well, it kind of started with them, and now they've shifted to Wednesdays. So are we going to see other people shift? That's really kind of the issue. But it's zombie freaking side, so it's going to raise a couple $1 million. It's just, are you going to get it? Do you need to get it? It's a new variation of the second edition as a whole. Or if you're like me and you're still waiting for Marvels, you know, do you really need another one? It's going to get the clicks, it's going to get the views, it's going to get the cash. But is it going to get to the table? What they're doing with some of this is they're introducing hybrid humanoid animal species. You have the canine people, you have the cat people, and I'm assuming with some other expansions, you'll have a little bit of something else too. Bird people, I'm assuming, maybe lizard, reptile people. You know what I'm talking about. But also, they've only revealed in the second designer diaries that there are going to be different mechanics. There are going to be walls that you're actually surrounding, sort of like a tower defense style game. But there are going to be majority of zombies that can't get over that, but they're going to have ones that'll just climb right over it in terms of abominations that you're going to have to deal with as well. Stairs, ramparts, ladders, walkways, cauldrons, freeze mechanic. That's some of the new stuff that you need to know about. And it's sort of a upgraded previous version of the Black Plague, if you will. It kind of gives me that vibe of medieval-esque aesthetic. And so again, as someone who doesn't really have a huge interest, I'm gonna FOMO it. We're gonna see where it goes. Will I end up backing it? Probably not, but I can't say never to never. So we're gonna see where this one falls in. Back to your regularly scheduled high April games that you need to know about. Now, we'd be amiss if we couldn't talk about an abstract, on the Liege of Games style things, but can you really call this an abstract anymore? Santorini from Roxley is coming out with a new game, a new expansion, a new mode? A cooperative mode? Is it really an abstract then if it's a cooperative abstract? I don't know. Campaign scenarios over like 6 different things? I mean, I like me some Santorini. My wife hates it, but is it really going to work with the asymmetry, with the god powers, with a little bit of new stuff as well? How much is going to be the old stuff? How much is going to be bundled? What are the deluxifications going to look like this time? Because I really don't like the base stand that came at retail anyway. It was crappy, to be frank with you. And, Roxley does a really good job normally. And so the Spin Master, whatever version it was subpar at best at retail in terms of having the board flat and storing it well. So again, is it going to be like the special white box deluxification one that they originally put out? What other custom things are they going to have in store for us? Because that's Roxley's MO on crowdfunding as well. Just like a Garfield, you're going to get a little promo, you're going to get a little deluxification, you're going to get a slightly better price. But is it for you? Because it's an abstract still. But can you co-op abstracts? Well, we're about to find freaking out on the 11th. Again, this one's going over from Kickstarter to GameFound. This is going to be another interesting test of the market, right? This is Guards of Atlantis II. I've got my copy sitting right over there behind the camera. I'm hoping to have my review out by the time it launches later in the month. It's at the very end on the 25th. But this is MOBA League of Legends, the board game, right? This is the one that people are saying, this is a closest resemblance to the whole complete picture of a lane battling, asymmetric team building, head-to-head skirmish style fight with some take that, with some objectives, with a lot of different asymmetric characters that you can use, and it's really been well received. Again, I think the price point for the reprint's going to be jacked up considerably, and they're going to have a little bit of new content as well with new heroes, so I'm excited to see what that. But this is, again, just like the next game I'm going to talk about, it's a very interesting player count game, because realistically, they say you should be playing with 4 people at minimum. 4 to 8 people. Now, you can play with 2 people, but you're going to be controlling a lot more, and it's a lot more overhead. Is it doable? Absolutely. Are you going to want to do it on a frequent basis? That's where you kind of have to ask yourself whether or not this is the game for you. And that's similar to Root sitting behind me. Like, Root is, by all intents and purposes, declaratively, everyone says best at 3 and 4 players, right? But there are plenty of people, not very many, but plenty at the same time, that say, I'm happy playing Root 2. Is it the best gamer deep niche in the hobby? No. But could you be very happy playing 2-player Root with my wife, playing with an AI at some point back and forth, or some hirelings or some landmarks to spice it up a little bit just with 2 people alone? Yeah, absolutely. And that's how I look at this with a 2-player game as well. Again, there's no real information about what the new stuff is on the actual GameFound webpage, otherwise I'd pull it up for you. But they have more information, and they've been playtesting a lot over on the Discord server. And so if you have any interest from that aspect, I've been sort of perusing over there as well. And so I won't go into any spoilers, but if you're looking at this one again, don't pick it up on the secondary market. People are selling it for like 2 to 3 times the price on the secondary market that they bought it for on the original Kickstarter campaign. But this is going to be, one of the preeminent games of this genre, mechanistically speaking, going forward. This is going to be one of the standard bearers. We talk about that for whatever. We talk about that for Euros, Brass, Gloomhaven, whatever it may be. This is that for that now. So we're going to see how much it raises, though, this time over on GameFound, and if there's really an expanded audience for this, or if it's still pretty niche, and it's just the supply is just so limited that the demand, is appearing larger, but maybe actually isn't. So take that for what you will. Now, speaking of that, again, I got it sitting right here, so we might as well just pull it up instead of actually pull up the picture of the page. Fractured Sky, IB Games, launching on the 11th. This is the latest of their Deluxified games, and this is a little bit more of an area control Ethnos style airship maneuvering, island controlling, with a little bit of hidden deduction-esque. Very vague. Not actually hidden deduction, but more tied in with the area control style of game. completely overproduced, completely fantastically aesthetically pleasing, and it's going to be a very interesting test of the market again. I mean, Ivy Games has a very loyal core audience, just like Garfield and just like Chip Theory. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Like, you put your money where your mouth is, right? Like, you either go for this sort of stuff or you don't, or you pick and choose like I do. And which ones are okay and which ones are. I mean, it's using magnets, and it's using magnets to actually clip onto the bottom of the ships, because you have a total of 10 power that you can spread between 3 ships in this game. And you can put them on any of, like, 8 to 10 different areas to get strength, to win, to try and get the pieces of the star that are actually the victory points. But you can also get consolation prizes of the resources that are going to allow you to build more ship presence and more resource presence as well. And that's the dynamic that you kind of have to balance out. But it is, and I will agree with this, they're saying this is their most accessible game yet, and I would agree with that. Although Mystic Mischief, as a 2-player asymmetric abstract game, is pretty approachable. This is going to be more group dynamic, less dependent than, say, Veiled Fate. Veiled Fate, you need kind of people knowing what they're doing and being very on top of things. This one, you can just have a lot of fun with. And so it's a little bit more light in that sense and style and shape. So if you have any interest in this one, give it a look-see when it launches. Again, the only question is just how much extra is going to go with it, because I just have a prototype there, but I'm going to guess they have a few surprises in store. Wink, wink, nod, nod. I know they do, but I can't tell you anything. Sorry, didn't want to miss out on this one as well. Interrupting again. Teotihuican, Deluxified version, with all the expansions, with all the accoutrements, with all the toppings that you're going to need, is also launching on the 18th. There's not a ton of other information out there for it right now, but over on Board Game Geek, they're calling it the Deluxe Master Set. So you're getting upgraded aesthetics, you're getting upgraded components, and you have about 2,500 people following it on the Kickstarter launch page as well at this time. So if you're not familiar with this 1 to 5 player, relatively well thought of board and dice worker placement style game, it's got 2 or 3 expansions as well that are already out there. And the question is going to be, if you bundle all of these together as you're building new technologies, climbing the steps of the great temples, and building up the inhabitants of a city, do you need this one? Is it going to offer you something different? Are you going to upgrade it and get it, as a whole or cheaper, sort of like we saw Everdell, right? The complete collection of Everdell, people were pissed off because it was a better bundled price. Now, if this has deluxifications and upgraded components, though, obviously it's going to be a little bit more expensive than just what your retail version is going to be. But also big box, how do you feel about that? Looking at you, Terraforming Mars, again, that was a miss or a hit, depending on how you felt about it when it came to the crowdfunding scene as well, when it went to the big box side of things. So take that for what you will, but also launched on the 18th there. There you go. The other big one that I can really see myself going either way on is Endeavor Deep Sea. Again, the Age of Sail, pirates in general, the theme does absolutely nothing for me. And so to have something different with the Endeavor style themes that's only going to take 1 to 1.5 hours max. Again, that's my sweet spot for a game like this. Action points, chaining, tech trees. I love that style of things. And so if they can do this in combination with Burnt Island Games and Grand Gamers Guild, my local folks, I'm really intrigued. I really could see myself digging into this game, just like, Fraction Sky, just like a couple of the worker placement Euro games that I've done in the last year, right? Like, I am an omni gamer. I like all sorts of stuff, right? There's a reason you see Puzzle Strike, and you see Bitoku, and you see That Time You Killed Me in behind me, right? It's not because they're just the prettiest, most pleasing aesthetic covers I can put behind me. It's because I like all of those games. And I am a big smorgasbord of chaotic game loving. And this is something I don't really have in my collection in this sense. And so recruiting experts, getting your abilities, going to new locations, expanding your expertise, learning about the deep sea. The deep sea, again, is another highly underutilized game. I wanted to like Oceans more than I did. And it just it left me with mixed feelings. Oceans was a game that I really said, wow, these are some really cool stuff. I love the art. I love the deep deck. And I just looked at it as a game I love to play, but not to own. And so I'm hoping that this takes a different style on my feelings, because we all know that feelings aren't facts, but I sometimes want my feelings to be truer than they are. So show me what you got, Burnt Island and Grand Gamers Guild, Triple G. Diners, Drivers, and Drives. Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. It's kind of like that, right? Grand Gamers Guild, Triple G, Triple D. Anyway, I'm done. I'm diverging. So what else we got going on? We have actually, this was long rumored to be out of print. People were putting up copies on the secondary market for Godzook money, ridiculous money. And now all of a sudden, the makers behind Project L, the Tetris style of solve your puzzle game are coming back to crowdfunding this month. And I believe Boardcubator, that's who they are, in case you were wondering, they have like a dozen, being facetious, there's like half a dozen little expansions for this. They even did a second crowdfunding campaign that included a bunch of the ones from the first time. And this is actually surprisingly the 12th ranked abstract game on Board Game Geek. I would not have guessed it to be that high. And it's one of those games where I can see it very easily going either way, right? Like it's Tetris, it's abstract Tetris. You're building, you're deploying, you're solving, you're repeating that. And I know the expansions add a lot of variability. They add different colors, different shapes, different puzzles, and, that's good. But it's one of those I can look at and I conceptually know what it does up here. But until I see how it actually plays on here, I can't speak to whether or not I would like it. And there aren't many games like that I can talk about in that sense lately, especially from an abstract style of things. I mean, the nice thing is that, if you were one of those people that was missing out previously, you're going to be able to get a lot of the stuff. Now, the question just is, some of it was exclusive, Kickstarter exclusive. So can you get all of it? Are they going to be offering all of it? Is it going to be just a bunch of new stuff? Obviously, if it was, out of print or potentially lost license previously, you would hope to see, if you're one of those people who missed the boat the first time or doesn't want to pay ridiculous secondary market prices at this time, that you can get more of it. But also, is it a FOMO thing as well? Like, are people going to buy more of this because they're afraid that Boardcubator is going to have trouble again? Again, I don't really know. I don't know if this is a game that I'm going to like. I've always had my eye on this one since it first launched and never been able to pull the trigger. Haven't really tried too hard to trade for it. But it's one that I'd love to sort of give the actual table look-see, because again, Tetris on a board, a polyomino style game, it's very easy to see, is it Copenhagen? Is it actually something more layering-wise, depth-wise than that? Or is it just a slight variation? Because I have a couple games that are similar ilk, and we'll see what makes it stand out. If you guys know in the comment section, again, like, advice appreciated. Expansion-wise, what makes it different? That's the big question for me, and I just haven't been able to put my finger on it. So there you go. That's why I'm talking about it, though. Next up, we're going back over to GameFound, and we're going over to Thorgal, which is going to be Portal Games' foray into more of the dungeon crawl scenario-based aspects of games. And this is a cooperative storybook adventure of 1 to 4 players, 7 different standalone scenarios, each taking about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And it's based on like sort of your Norse mythology. A deadly female warrior goes on a series of adventures, essentially. It's very much map-based scenarios where you're going through and you're going to be adventuring, but you're also going to have a relatively significant cooperative narrative style of things that's going to be interacting. And that's sort of a hit or miss. And I can see that and I like it, but I don't also want to read a bunch of text. And so that's going to be the question, is how much, how little, how strong of narrative are they doing? And they're saying there's going to be a brand new action selection mechanism to go along with it. Actions have various powers depending on if the actions have already been taken. So sort of like a Euro-esque worker placement style game incorporated into the dungeon crawl. You're going to be action sequence planning, essentially. So it directly impacts the strength of the effect. Think of like your Arc Nova, right? Like where you've got Arc Nova where something further down the chain is actually stronger and it gets you more power. It's kind of giving me that vibe, only with a dungeon crawl character development. You gain experience, you level up, you get more meaningful decisions about how to plan the game. And so that's all we really know from Portal. And I guess maybe we'll see. The Robinson Crusoe deluxification issue isn't even delivered, I think, at this point. And this is another foray. If you're going into heavy miniatures, maybe they've got some previous experience now with the Portal, with the Robinson Crusoe. But again, what makes this stand out? Why should I get on crowdfunding? 7 scenarios. How do you feel about that? How replayable is it going to be, especially if it's heavy narrative? How much exploration of the narrative are you going to have to do? Or how many branching points are you going to actually be able to uncover in one gameplay? That's the sort of thing. But also, like, I don't want to read a textbook. I'm getting away from that style of game, and I think a lot of people are, because there's been such a trend in that, and sometimes less is more. Give me Cthulhu Death May Die, Marvel United, rather than, just me. Just throwing that out there right now. Just throwing that out there. Got 3 more here. Stay with me. 3 more here. Terminus. In case you missed it, Inside Up Games. Connor and his company, they just put out Earth, right? Earth, everyone's raving about right now. It's on the hotness. It's getting all the acclaim as a, sort of engine building card selection style of game. The next one is supposedly launching on the 4th from Inside Up Games, and this is Terminus. It's a subway planning, developing, and construction game for 2 to 5 people, where you've been hired to, build the subway line and the commercial developments. It reminds me very much in a sense of the On the Underground, only if you were actually building the On the Underground lines instead of just traversing them and sort of building your separate lines, like actually having them already down in the first place. Time, money, resources are all things you're going to be managing. Prestige, objectives, transit demands, individual projects, open agendas, get more prestige by your opponent by the end of the game. So that's all we know. I mean, there's literally no information on Board Game Geek whatsoever. There's just one image altogether. And so it's supposedly, rumor has it, launching on the 4th, but we'll see. I'm super interested from this one as well. This is one I could see being a game that I, again, don't have any train games in my collection. So is this going to be the first train game? Possibly. Now we're going to completely different direction here. This is a fox-based worker placement game called Ruse, Instincts of the Den. Grow your kits, hunt, explore, and mark your territory in a fox-themed Euro-style game. It's going to be self-published, dice rolling, drafting, worker placement, right? Like, I mean, that's just kind of cool. I mean, it's being presented as a midweight Euro strategy game. The company behind it actually has their own website, and so you can check out a little bit more information there. But again, they're holding their cards close to the vest, but they have about 2,000 followers right now on their Kickstarter pre-launch page, and it just seems like a really cool concept. Like, the Fox experiment only as a worker placement game, right? Like, thematically incorporated is really cool, and what you're presenting with me art-wise is really cool. But okay, tell me what you're going to be doing different with these mechanisms in terms of the worker placement that's going to actually entice me. That's what I have yet to see in this 1 to 2 hour game. Again, I need more than a cool concept. Cool concept, check, but gameplay needs to hold out as well. And last up, we're going to talk about Weirdwood Manor from Grey Ridge Games. This one's also launching this month. Cooperative, marrying adventure gameplay with Euro underpinnings, it says. Companions battling to protect the manor and its ruler from invading monsters and clockwork minions, right? Dime a dozen story right there, right? Anyway, so you have this mysterious manor that you're protecting, and you're using actions for how quickly or slowly time is going to be moving. But if you use it all and you haven't defeated all the monsters, you're going to lose. You have one of 6 different asymmetric characters that you're going to be battling with up against 3 of the different boss monsters and their unique mechanics and lose conditions, as well as their unique minions. This is dice drafting, card play, and resource management. And so I love dice drafting. I love dice worker placement and location actions as you go through the manor, which is actually apparently going to shift as you're playing through. You get your own deck of cards to take your primary actions. Rooms gets additional benefits and actions you can take there as well as you're going to have powers of your own asymmetric character, as well as potential minions or / companions that are going to be accompanying you or aiding you. Pandemic style-esque in the sense that the monster is going to get stronger as you go on. You're going to be able to chain your combo of actions together in order to succeed and to get stronger as you go as well. But because of the ever-shifting nature of the manor and the enemies, there's going to be a lot of deep tactical maneuvering that's going to be necessary, and unpredictability that's going to, as they say, literally from the Board Game Geek description, make quarterbacking impossible, virtually impossible. I love that. Give me something hard, give me something asymmetric, give me something Spirit Island loop-esque, and I'm all in. And so Grey Ridge Games has got me, chomping at the bit to see what this one is about and to see if this one can hold up. And so I'm super, super interested. Don't be fooled, even though this is the last one on the list that I'm talking about, I am no less interested in this one than I am many of the others previously. So that is what I've got for you for April. Those are the big ones. Now, again, just like Nekojima from this past month, just like a couple others of this small box card style Woodland Wizards from the folks over at Pagan, Fate of Roanoke, Wormgold, games that come out of the woodwork that, sorry, I didn't mean to actually do that pun there, that are just cool and awesome, and you end up covering and backing and liking anyway. Similarly, I have 2 or 3 every week that are sleeper picks that come out of nowhere that I just love. So that's why I love doing, these are the big ones, but beware and tune in and subscribe because I cover them all every single week as well. Your best source, most complete source, best indie coverage you can afford because it's free. So that's all I got. I don't know. I'm rambling on at the end here. Don't skip leg day. Don't skip leg day. I want to skip leg day every week. I actually do 2 leg days a week right now. I did 10 wide grip pull-ups in a row to start my workout this morning. I was really proud of myself. Wide grips are pain in the butt. You always feel like you're only going halfway up because you can't do the full chest to bar if you're one of the... Anyway, you don't want to hear about my exercise workout routine. If you do, you can let me know in the comment section down below. But otherwise, I'm done game rambling. So thanks for watching. Stay classy. Let me know what you're back in this month. Let me know how your last month was as well. Shortly, you will see my best picks of March 2023. Top campaigns, top games for me personally. Played or owned or acquired. A little bit of everything, maybe. All in one. And April. So that means we get to look back 1 year and 2 years as well. It's fun to do. I love it. Thanks, guys. Peace out. See you around.